Hello and welcome back to episode 10 of the Mindful Mezzo. My name's Sabatina and I am so excited that you're here. I know it's been a little while, but I myself have not exactly been feeling inspired, and so I figured it might be better to not necessarily make content if I had some things I wanted to sort out first, but I'm excited to be back. I am also incredibly busy, and so the episodes are going to be a lot more spaced out, as you can probably tell by this episode. But I wanted to thank you for joining me for episode 10. I want to always start this episode, of course, by saying this is not intended for any sort of medical use or to replace or replenish anything specific. This is simply a reflection of mindfulness from one artist to another. You might notice today I'm in a different setup. I have a different haircut. It's looking a little different over here. But for episode 10, I figured I wanted to do something a little bit different in terms of content, and rather than write out what I want to say, speak candidly to anyone who's listening. And I want to talk about the concept of taking up space. And I do want to mention that concept can sometimes be a little triggering. So just to pose a little bit of a warning that if you don't like the concept, or if you don't like discussion around concepts of physical space or physical stature, that this might not be the episode for you. But I am going to try to speak as generally as possible as to avoid anything too specific or too triggering, because I have been in a place where that is uncomfortable and I never want to perpetuate that feeling. So all of that aside, let's get into episode 10. So thank you so much. I'm very excited for an entire 10 episodes. It's been such a pleasure to share my innermost thoughts with people who will listen. And for those of you who have given me feedback and said very kind things, I appreciate you. And I'm just here to support and to be a voice from one artist to another. It's very important to me. So we are going into a very interesting time in life. Some will call it audition season. Some are already working. We are just in the throes of the absolute demand for professionalism. And in the midst of all of this, oftentimes people will feel as though they don't deserve to walk into a certain room. And so I just want to talk about the need for taking up space and the demand that you need to place on yourself for allowing yourself to take up space. I have so many colleagues and friends, and I've often been in this position where I apply for something or I accept a job or whatever, and I get so in my head about the job and how people will perceive me and my perception of myself that's all I think about. And I have to disagree with myself and with others that we shouldn't be concerned about how we're taking up space. Of course, it's very important to try to be as professional as possible and to be as respectful to those around us as possible, but we do that. We already do that. So knowing that we're professional is, key. That's 100% of the problem right there. And there's 100% of your answer. When you start to question how you're going to walk into the room and how you're going to be perceived before you even walk into that room, you're taking away all of the hard work that you've done, all of the preparation you've done, the fact that you earned a spot to get to where you are, whether it's an audition or a job or a spot on a team somewhere. You earned that. You wouldn't have been called in if you didn't earn it, if you didn't work really, really hard to get there. And we don't see that. We don't see that we deserve the space that we're in, that we deserve to take up that space that was allotted for us. Even if you don't keep the job, or the job is short, or you don't get the thing that you auditioned for, you still earned the space to walk into that room and take up that space that has your name on it. If you pick a time slot for an audition and you show up for that time slot, you earned that space. That is your space. It's got your name on it on a little gold plaque. And that's something to celebrate. Taking up space is so wonderful and so rightfully deserved when you've worked so hard to get there. And to take that away and to diminish that by saying, I don't know if I am going to be okay in this space. I don't know if I'm going to do a good job. I don't know if I'm going to be the right fit. That's okay. We're not the right fit for every job. That's why hundreds of people apply for the same one job. And one person gets picked out of those 100. And that's okay. And that has been you. And maybe it isn't this right or this time, or maybe it isn't right now, but it will be you again. And sometimes jobs are just a revolving door of people, because especially in the arts where contracts are so short, there's person after person vying for the same position every year, year after year, and only one person can have that job. And that's okay if it's you, and it's okay if it's not. But you deserve, if you have been hired for that job or that audition or that spot, you deserve it. Talking yourself out of, or trying to talk yourself out of something that you earned is very old-fashioned. We are almost to 2026. We are going to leave this behind. And I'm game if you're game to leave behind this thought that maybe you don't deserve something, because even though you earned it, or even though you have it in your hands, that you don't deserve it. Sometimes we have a little bit of, I guess, in the larger term, it would be survivor's guilt, but you're not surviving necessarily, but it's the same kind of feeling where you fought really, really hard to have a job, and then you got it, but your friends didn't, or your colleagues or your peers didn't, and then you feel like you don't deserve it because they didn't get it. That doesn't make what you earned any less valid or any less wonderful or any less respectable. You just got it. And in previous episodes, I've mentioned that, you're going to grow where you're planted, and you're going to get what's right for you. And if something's right for you, that means it wasn't right for someone else. And if it was right for them, it wasn't right for you. And that's okay. But when you get there, don't walk into the room and tell everyone you don't deserve it. Walk into that room confident and sure of yourself that you are where you need to be. I know I've talked about this before, but it's prevalent on the pages that I'm on the feeds that I'm on the circles that I'm in, that this needs to be talked about more. That there are so many people around me that think that they don't deserve to be exactly where they are. And you do. You didn't get there by dumb luck. You've been working so hard to get to where you are, and you deserve it. I don't really know how else to say it. So you need to take up that space. And here's the concept of taking up space. Okay, so we've got the jobs that we deserve and the things that we've worked really hard on that we've earned, rightfully earned. And then we have the actual concept of taking up space. Now, this is going to be a little more physical rather than like psychological. I've seen so often, way too often, especially from fellow sopranos and altos, that we are scared to go into a space that we haven't been in for fear that we are going to be judged on the volume of space that we take up. And that needs to go away. That needs to stop. Like I said, we're in the past. We are moving toward 2026. It is so old-fashioned to think that because of the volume of space which you take up, you don't deserve to be somewhere. I am someone who personally has struggled with this for their whole life, who struggled with it a little too hard for a little too long, and got on the other side of that and realized, wow, the volume of space which I take up does not define my respectability. It does not define whether or not I can do a good job at the job that I earned. It does not determine whether or not I am good, whether that be good at something or a good person. It doesn't determine anything other than the volume of space which I occupy. And I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, but every single human being on this earth takes up space. It doesn't matter how much. Every single one of us occupies a volume of space, an amount, a dimension, every single person. And whether or not you take up the same amount of space as someone else physically, emotionally, vocally, artistically, does not mean you are better, worse, different than anyone. Fundamentally, we are all the same. We are human beings. We all got here the same way. And there are going to be people in the arts, especially for singers, sopranos, and altos, hear this a lot. You're going to hear, whether it's said to you directly, indirectly, whether you hear it said to a colleague. I've heard this from so many peers who have terrible stories, that the amount of space you take up does not please someone else. And to that I say, who cares? You don't need that job. If you walk into a space that you earned the time slot for, that you earned the right to be in because you were offered a job, or you were offered an audition, or you were offered a masterclass or a coaching or whatever, and you are told that you need to alter your vessel in order to be taken more seriously, that's not the place for you. Taking up space is something that every single person does the minute they are put on this earth. If someone tells you that their response, or if someone's response to the space that you take up is that it's wrong, that is not about you, that is about them. There is no wrong way to take up space. You're allowed to take up space in the dimensions that you were given. So just a little hard truth, not for you, but for the people talking to you, that if you've been told that the space you're taking up is wrong, that is not correct. You are allowed to take up space. And we shouldn't even have to use the word allow. You were put here by someone, by something. Something put you on this earth. You have no control over genetics, DNA, nature, nurture, whatever. You didn't have control over that. If it can't be fixed in 3 seconds, that's not the place for you. If someone's telling you, hey, you got spinach in your teeth and you can pull that spinach out of your teeth, great. Go do that. Because honestly, it won't taste that good anyway. But if someone's saying something a little more permanent to you, and that's defining how they see you, that is not the space for you. Personally, I am not the kind of person who can work in spaces like that. I've had uncomfortable conversations with people before about companies or people or peers or whatever discussing costuming and not wrapping their head around why a costume wouldn't fit me when I just point blank told them this doesn't fit, and them responding to me, well, I thought it was, because they bought the largest dimension that they could get. Those dimensions, unfortunately, were not my dimensions. They were just the largest available for purchase. That doesn't mean that I'm not deserving of a costume that fits, or that I'm not deserving of being comfortable on a stage in a situation where I cannot immediately change what dimensions I fit, what volume of space I took up. And nobody knows what you're dealing with. I have been on many a health journey and a health struggle due to chronic and unforeseen things. I can't sometimes just change my dimensions. Unfortunately for me, I'm not a shapeshifter. And oftentimes, as people who take up space, especially my soprano and alto mezzo friends, we are somehow expected in a situation to just shapeshift for the sake of someone. But that's not physically possible. I can't just go, oh, so sorry, you're right. Let me just take off a couple ribs. Let me just shrink my bones. That'll do it. It's not really a thing. You can't really do that. I think some unspecified sums of money could do that for us. But if I can't fix it in 3 seconds, it's not worth saying. And if someone does say that to you, it's not worth it. Walking into a situation like that repeatedly, where you are made to feel less than because of the dimensions you were given, it's not really a safe space to be in. And I'm very comfortable saying that because I have been in those spaces and I don't return to those spaces. And I'm okay with that. I know peers who struggle with that concept of, well, how can I just not accept a job just because they've made me feel uncomfortable? I think it's that. I think that's your answer right there. If you've been made to feel uncomfortable because of someone's preconceived stereotypes and preconceived ideas about how you should take up space, if you're not comfortable, you're not comfortable. And I know these are hard topics to talk about and hard topics to listen to. And so I hope I can cushion that as much as possible with certain images and metaphors. But at the end of the day, we are all human beings. We were all given a code, a genetic code. And we can't control that. We can control things in our lives, in our physical and mental lives, of course. And I'm sure we all work very hard to do that. I know I do. And I know a lot of peers who do. But there are things beyond our control. And you should not be made to feel as though you should have to be in control of everything all the time. I think as artists, we tend to have an overarching, overbearing sense of control, and we try to grip onto everything we can. It's someone recently in my life used a metaphor for rock climbing in a different context, but if you're rock climbing, you have something to grab onto, right? You know your next step. It might not always work out, but you have something to grab. That sense of control is permeated in the artist's brain, in the artistic industries, in the arts in general, where you have to control, I have to control, we have to control, but then you also have to listen to other people in control. Absolutely. Absolutely. If I signed your contract, you're totally in control. I'm in control of what I do, and you're in control of how you need me to perform in that contract. But what nobody can be in control of is telling you what to be in control of. You can't tell me that I need to go and change my dimensions overnight and that I should be more concerned about my control of XYZ when you don't know where my controls lie. It would be like if we had 2 different gaming consoles and you had one controller and I had a controller for something totally different. So your controller is 2 hands and has multiple buttons. My controller is a rectangle and has like 3 buttons up the middle. And they don't look the same, but you're going to tell me that I need to handle my controller the way you handle your controller. They don't even have the same buttons. They don't have the same shape, the same functionality. So you can only control your controller. You can't control my controller or the way I look at my controller. They're not the same. Maybe that's a far cry metaphor, but I hope that made any sense. At the end of the day, you are allowed to take up space. Nobody is allowed to tell you you're not. They will. There will be people that think they can, and that's okay for them. Let them. Let them think that they can say those things. I like to stand up for myself if I have the chance, and I like to tell people, hey, it's not a really good way to talk to me. Hey, maybe that's not the most appropriate thing to say in this situation, or hey, that's really not your business. And you're allowed to respond. If someone hurts your feelings, you're allowed to say that. If someone breaks a boundary of yours or steps over a boundary or crosses a line, you're allowed to say, hey, that's not really comfortable for me. Hey, I spoke to you about this, and I understand that you don't see why this is a problem, and it's fine. It's fine if you don't see that. But just letting you know, here's my boundary. And setting those boundaries is very important. I've learned that in my own life, that setting those boundaries and sticking to those boundaries is the highest form of self-respect and self-care and building your self-esteem. Boundaries are self-care. Boundaries are self-respect. And you're doing nothing wrong by having them. You're helping yourself so much. The next time you walk into a situation where someone speaks to you like you don't deserve to take up space, you will know in your head, in your heart, yes, I do. And whatever they're going through in life or this day or this minute is causing them to speak irrationally. Because anyone who tries to control you without knowing you, that's pretty irrational to me. And you deserve better than people who don't know you, than strangers, to try to control the space that you take up. So going into your auditions, going into your new jobs, congratulations, by the way. Congratulations. Even if you applied and you received a no after your application, that is still a huge success. Good for you for sending that application out. Good for you for trying really hard. And for, now I only can speak on the singer side of things because that's all I know, but good for you for going and filming recordings and for doing pre-screenings. Good for you for updating your resume and getting a headshot, and for trying really freaking hard, and for going through the application fees and the flight scheduling and all of the driving. I know I've got a lot of driving to look forward to this fall, and maybe all that driving will amount to one job, maybe it'll amount to two, maybe it'll amount to zero. But I'm pretty proud of myself that I'm putting myself out there and working really hard and maintaining, my self-respect, my boundaries, and for putting out a product that I'm proud of. And it's not always going to be consistent. Sometimes we make mistakes, and I'm okay with that. I'm proud of myself for trying, and I'm proud of myself for the recoveries I'll make if I do make mistakes. Be proud ahead of time, stockpile all the proud and save it for later because you're going to need it. Sometimes we don't feel that way. And I'm sure there'll be a day or an audition where I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that. But you know what? Past me was really proud of present me, and that's okay. And right now, current me is proud of future me. And I encourage you to find those things and maybe even write them down for post-audition, post-contract, because that contract letdown, once you're done with a job, you get, my gosh, it's like a breakup. You get pretty sad sometimes, or the alleviation of the stress or the alleviation of the things that you memorized. You feel different. You feel very differently about yourself, about the things around you. And it's okay. But maybe write yourself down a little Post-it note and stick it somewhere for after your job is over that says, hey, future me, these are all the things we did to prepare. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. I look back at the contract that I finished for this past summer, and I look back at my scores and all of the notes I wrote and all of the preparation I did. And I think, you know what, past me, I'm really proud of you. We did hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours of work preparing to get to today, which is not doing the work anymore. And I look back and I can't think of one single moment where I wasn't working my hardest. And I can't think of one instance where I can't be proud of myself for my work at the time and my final product. I just can't. That would be such a disservice to me. All of that space that I took up learning, and then the space I took up executing, and the space I took up finalizing, finishing, and ending, that was a lot of space. And I deserved every single ounce of that space that I took up. Every centimeter, every millimeter of that space I took up, I deserved that. Because I worked so hard to get there. And all of the no's that I got that led to one single yes, I'll take it. Because I know that when the time was right for me to take up that space was open and ready and waiting for me. It's like when you take things out of your closet, or you donate some shoes, or you pass down some knickknacks on your shelves, and there's a little space there, and you find the perfect shirt or the perfect pair of walking shoes or the perfect little like tchotchke item, and you put it in those little spaces that you left. Those things were just waiting there. Now, yes, I'm an avid lover of looking at housewares, so that might be where this is coming from. I think I need to take a trip to the store. But I hope you know what I mean, where when you find that perfect thing that you've been missing, it fills a space in your life that you're like, oh, there's a little void here. I think sometimes there are jobs and companies that we are like that little perfect thing for them. Wow, where has this person been? We've had a perfect you-sized space, just a void that's exactly your shape waiting for you. And here you are. Go fill it. You earned it. We've literally been waiting for you. How exciting. And I like to frame it that way. That when there's a job for me, it'll be like I'm the final puzzle piece that just clicks in and the puzzle's done. I don't know. Maybe that's a little romantic. You're romanticizing your hobbies, your career, your jobs, whatever, your art. But I think that sometimes that's really helpful because, and I speak for myself, but most of my peers around me are doing this, but we work so many jobs. We do so many things. We send out so many applications and get so many auditions. Romanticize it. Otherwise, it gets kind of boring. Make it fun. Am I thrilled about having 500-mile round trips multiple times in the next month? Not really. Not really. But am I excited to go do those things and then go explore a new coffee shop, get a bagel? Yeah, of course. It's not about people. What is that cliche where they say like, oh, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey? Cliches are age old for a reason. They're timeless for a reason. It's really not about the destination. It's not about the audition. It's not about the job. It's about who I am and who I become because of it and leading up to it and after it. I took up such a unique dimension of space on my most recent contract. And the person that I was, I'm still the same person, but the person that I was preparing for this contract, the person that I was executing, and then the person I am now are all such wonderful variations of myself and who I've been. But I was really able to find new dimensions of myself. So right now I was this 2-dimensional space. Now I'm like 3-dimensional, maybe even 4-dimensional because I make noise. So I've really found all these new dimensions within my own dimensions. And so the amount of space that I take up, while you might think it's the exact same, it's actually like 10 times more. And that goes beyond physical space. This is like a metaphysical space. I don't know. Whatever you believe in, that's your reference here. I'm not going to tell you my own specifics or whatever, but whatever you believe in, that's your reference point. So not only now is my space, vertical and horizontal, I've got some spherical stuff going on. I've got little pockets of galaxies going on. I know things now I didn't know before because I entered a space that I'd never been in. And were there times that I was like, whoa, what am I doing here? Yeah, and that's why I wrote episode 9 last year. It's why I wrote that. What the heck was I doing there? Oh no, girl. What was I there for? And I remembered that I said that because I did in fact say that and then post it on the internet. So what was I there for? And I took those moments to stop and reflect. Anytime I was like, whoa, what am I doing here? No, girl, you earned that space. I earned that space. I worked my butt off to get there. Now that I'm here, what am I going to do with that? And at the end of the day, everything you do, we're selfish creatures, right? That's human beings. Go read philosophy. It's all of that. But we're selfish creatures. We're self first. And selfish, not meaning bad, self-centric. Going back to all of the things that I believe in here at the Mindful Mezzo, that you have to center around yourself. capital S, self. What am I here for? What am I doing here? I am here for me. Yes, I'm working for you, but I am here for me. I can't work for you unless I'm my best version of me. I can't make a splash in the giant ocean of music if I do not take care of me. If I don't give you the best version of me, if I don't develop my instrument, practice every day, take good physical care of myself, have good mental hygiene. All of those things, taking care of me, help me execute so I can do the best for you. So I'm going to take up the space that I require, because I require XYZ amount of space so that I can give you my best product. And we should never be ashamed of the physical, mental, metaphysical, audible space that we take up, because life is really short. And if we hold shame and if we hold back and we hold shame over what we take up, we're going to so limit what we can put out. If you walk around theoretically like wrapped up in duct tape because you're afraid of moving your arms, and so you never move your arms. This is a really far cry metaphor. I'm so sorry. It just came to my head. But if you're so scared of your arms, hitting people when you walk, so you duct tape yourself so your arms don't move, you're never going to know that you can pick flowers. You're never going to know that you can hold a coffee. I love coffee. How would I do what would I do in life if I couldn't hold my coffee or pick flowers off the side of the road? But you would never know that you could do that, or that your hands could make beautiful things. If you're an artist who hides your hands under mittens because you're afraid of people seeing your hands, how are you going to know that you can paint? If you're a singer who hides your physical space that you take up, how is anyone going to know the beautiful acting you can do, the movement you can do? Maybe you're a wonderful dancer. Maybe you're really good at Alexander technique. Maybe you have great physical comedy, but you hide yourself and you wrap yourself up in the no, I can't do this, or no, I shouldn't do this, or I don't deserve to do this. And you wrap yourself up in all those little sentences. How will you ever know what you can do if you don't let yourself do it? And so, my friends, I think maybe I should be done rambling. I think maybe you get the drift here, but going into this new season of auditions and contracts and jobs and life and a whole new year in 3 months, do not limit yourself because you're afraid of taking up space. Do not let people tell you you're not allowed to take up space. It's not really their call. And just take up the damn space. And if you need to hear me say that again, rewind this and play it again. But you need to take up some more damn space. You are old. Listen, we are too old to be letting ourselves tell ourselves we are not worthy or allowed or respected enough to take up space. Whether or not you like it, you take up space and you have your whole life. And the minute that you start seeing that, I think you'll take up even more. It's exhilarating. I think we get hungry for it once we realize, hey, regardless of how much space I take up, I am taking up space. Once you have that glass shattering moment, the ceiling breaks and you can see the sunlight, I think you get so excited. You kind of fall in love with it. You romanticize it. You're like, whoa, I am limitless. I am limitless because I am aware of the space I take up, and I am limitless because I allow myself to take up space. And then take up some more, because I promise you, you're not taking up as much as you think you are, and you should take up some more. So, I'm super proud of everyone this season that I've seen. And if I haven't seen you and I don't know who you are, I'm also probably really proud of you if you tell me, what you're up to Let me know in comments, in whatever, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram. Let me know what you're up to. I'm so excited for you. I hope that your auditions go well, that your applications go well, that your singing and work and recording goes well. And of course, I'm specifically speaking of singing because that's what I know. But regardless of the kind of artist you are or the kind of just person that you are, I hope that you are proud of you. Because I could say it till I'm blue in the face, but I need you to be proud of you and to respect yourself and to respect yourself enough to take up more space. So friends, if you'd like to breathe in 5s with me, we're going to breathe in for 5, hold for 5, breathe out for 5, hold for 5, and then repeat as you want. Please do not do this if you are driving or operating any sort of heavy machinery. Only do this if you're comfortable doing this. And I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical advice. But let's breathe in for 5. Breathe in, ready, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you so much for joining me for this very not usual episode of the Mindful Mezzo. I'm Sabatina, and I'm so excited that maybe you'll start taking up some more space with me. Let me know how that goes. And if you have any specific requests for episode 11, any content suggestions, or anything you'd like to see from one artist to another, please let me know. Good luck, have fun, and I'm super proud of you. Bye.